Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. So friends, after seeing a very good participation in the two videos which I uploaded on Ketu, like Ketu's placement in different houses, Ketu's placement in different zodiac sign, and we primarily focused on 2-3 areas only: the maturity level of the soul, any specific intuitive gifts which Ketu's placement in your chart tells about specific body marks. So based on the good response which I got more motivated, and now friends, in this video we will try to add some more layer to it. Like we will try to understand Ketu's placement in your chart on the basis of the dharma, the purusharth, dharma, arth, kam, moksha. This could be the astral body, causal body, also connecting chakras as well. Like if Ketu is that portal, is that window which has got information regarding your past life, like all of your information of the sanchit karma. If Ketu holds a say over there, so based on its placement, what we can figure out? Because friends, in my case, right now Ketu is transiting over my 5th house. I'm right now in between a 7-day meditation retreat which I am attending. You would not believe, I just went for a coffee, and while coming out of the shop, I saw a bookstore and looked like this book was calling me towards itself. Past Life Astrology by Judy Hall. So I'm these days very much inclined towards decoding this aspect, and like the way I always say, this is a research platform. We all learn from each other. So I will be sharing my finding in this, and based on like your observation, based on what you have felt, do share that in the comment section. It will contribute to this community. Also friends, at the end of this video, there will be a flyer where I will be talking about that I will be conducting a 2-day workshop specifically designed for Ketu. So in that workshop, we will go elaborative, because in these 3 videos we just talked about, I just gave you the bold points and I gave my audio commentary on that. But over there will be the notes which will be shared, and with the participants during the session and the workshop, we will also discuss your personal chart as well, that what does Ketu's placement in your chart tells about. So if you are interested, stay till the end of the session and you can actually book your slot for this workshop. And after this friends, let's start our discussion on understanding and decoding Ketu. Some souls arrive on earth with gifts that defy logic. Prophets who see the future, mystics who speak to the unseen, geniuses who decode the universe in dreams. What astrological force gives this? Where do supernatural abilities come from? And what do Nostradamus, Baba Vanga and Srinivas Ramanujam have in common? The answer is Ketu, the planet of past life siddhis, divine memory and hidden sight. So friends, like in the Vedic lore, we don't use the word supernatural. We use the word as past life siddhi, because whatever happens, it has been earned by your soul in some past lifetime, and Ketu is the answer to that. So friends, before diving deep into our core interest, which is astrology and the astrology combinations, adding some more layers to what we have already discussed, let's try to understand some spiritual significance of it. I'm sure it will give you some insight. So talking about the purusharth level, like dharma, arth, kam, moksha, knowing that also becomes very important. So what do you think, what could be the role of Ketu when it is operating on the dharma plane? So we know that Ketu dissolves the false path, like fake identities and forced obligations. Wherever Ketu sits, your duty from past life is complete. So you no longer owe any karma over there. See, a lot of the people, when they get confused about how to distinguish between what is coming to me as the prarabdha in this lifetime and where is my free will doing the kriyaman karma. So I would say that dharma has got more to do with your free will, the kriyaman karma, like you have been given a wife. The nature of wife would be dependent on the prarabdha which you have done. But how you behave with her now, how you fulfill your duties as a husband now in the marriage, that is what your dharma is, the right path. Now, talking about the artha, which has to do with the material stability, I personally feel that this is one plane of the Purusharth over where Prarabdha plays a very significant role. Otherwise, we all have seen and witnessed all those people, irrespective of working very hard, being filled with logic, integrity, honesty, still they live their life with minimum and in very humble means. So the wealth which you get, the wealth opportunities which you get, naseeb, prarabdh, bhagya plays a very significant role. That's what I personally feel, and that's what I have learned. Now I will leave it up to you on your belief system on this. So now connecting Ketu with it, like the material stability aspect. So we know that Ketu detaches you from the material seeking that is already fulfilled in the previous incarnations. Like for example, Ketu in the second house, 10th house, the past life wealth mastery easily comes. Soul now needs non-material fulfillment. Now friends, reaching the kama, like the desire and the emotional bonds. So Ketu can dry the desire in the area where you have over experienced pleasure, romance, or emotional drama. Like we know that, for example, Ketu's placement in the 7th house, which is a typical case of like past life love or partnership saturation. So now seeking inner completion. Now connecting Ketu with the moksha, with the liberation. So we know that Ketu is pure moksha karaka, and moksha needs to be understood with proper logic. Moksha doesn't always means in a literal, in the modern day sense that your soul will get liberated from the cycle of the life and death. That is one pure context. But even in the daily life where people lot many times talk about that there used to be the golden era of the spiritual adhyatma, when people used to take the sannyas and they used to go to the woods in the forest. So even someone who is fulfilling his daily duties but with a very detached mindset, he does not associate himself with the body, with the identity. He's more aligned with the Brahm within him, with the soul within him. So that person is also living his life with a very moksha mindset. So knowing that becomes very important. And there have been those instances where people, they go to the forest, they go to the woods, but they still are attached with things. So when they go to the forest, they start getting attached over there with their disciples with other means. So that's what need to be understood. But yes, Ketu is the ultimate liberator. Like we say that your capacity to leave everything in the hands of the universe, your capacity to see the intelligence behind every act done in your life by the cosmos, by the nature, can only happen if the Ketu energy is working in a constructive way. We say that Ketu is the actual power of the blessing or curse in a voice of a priest, of a mendicant, of a fakir. Fakir ki dua. The blessing and the power of the blessing is generally connected with Ketu. So Ketu is pure moksha karaka. Its ultimate purpose is release, not reward. So where Ketu sits, the soul is ready to graduate. Now friends, just because in the last two videos where I gave more emphasis on wherever Ketu sits in the chart, its presence is felt via some physical marks on the body. Mars and Ketu have got their own reputation to leave a mark, but all what matters is how strong they are, how activated they are. So knowing that becomes very important. It will give resonance to what I have explained in the last few videos. So the three bodies, so Ketu operates strongest in the subtle and the causal body. So talking first about the physical body, the Sthul Sharira. So that means Ketu weakens the physical attachment to that house or the sign. And birthmark, scars, chronic detachment or numbness, the numbness can appear there. Talking about the Sukshma Sharira or the astral body. So this is a area or domain where Ketu can activate the psychic impression, dream messages, past life memory and the emotional karmic residue is here in the astral body. So we say that most Ketu suffering is astral, not physical. I still remember back in India when there was a time when I attended a Kundalini workshop, chakra meditation workshop, and in the workshop they made the whole group recite and focus our energy on the different sound connected with the chakra. And when we were done, like everyone was being told that monitor your diet, monitor your sleep, monitor some changes, be relaxed, don't be very angry, your body will go through some changes. I remember when in the morning suddenly I got awakened from the sleep, but my body was still asleep. So you were in that state when your body is still asleep, but your sleep is broken. And I realized that my body is afloat on the bed. Like I'm afloat, I'm little bit high on the bed. Then for a minute I got scared, but then I realized, oh, I did that chakra activation meditation workshop. It might be because of that. Then I went to the teacher, I told her, she asked me, hey, could you see yourself back? I said, no, I'm not that advanced level. I was not out of my body. All what I felt was that my body was slightly afloat. So she said that it's a good sign. So yes, so we have talked about the astral body, talking about the causal body, the Karan Sharir. So Ketu's impact over here, Ketu sits like a seed memory of the past life lessons. So this is where the soul stores all the samskaras, karmic debt, past life vows, and the karmic contract and the spiritual gift. So Ketu is the stored memory that shapes up our destiny. And lastly, friends, before we will dive into today's discussion, is about the 5 koshas or the energy level. So if you have to understand it on that basis, so the first is the Annamaya kosha, which means the physical shell. Now Ketu generally here create the same thing, scars, unusual birthmark, or some gifted marks, some holy marks, sensitivity in the organs ruled by that house or the sign, which we have already discussed in the last videos, and detachment from the physical pleasure. Second is the prana or the energy body, the pranamaya kosha. So Ketu's involvement or influence over here can disrupt or awaken the breath flow, nervous system, kundalini blockages, subtle pranic sensitivity. So for example, if like Swati, the prana vayu becomes erratic and there might be some intuitive winds. Next is, friends, the mental body, which is the manomaya kosha. So which means Ketu's influence over here can break. Ketu breaks the illusion, emotional attachment, repetitive thinking patterns. So it forces the mind to witness, not to react. Talking about the next layer, which is the Vigyanmaya kosha, the wisdom body. So Ketu here unlock the insight, the cleverance, past life wisdom, mystical knowing. So this is where the intuition awakens. And the last layer, friends, is the Anandamaya kosha, the bliss body. So Ketu ultimately guides the soul into the surrender, detachment, bliss without reason, and the spiritual weightlessness. It happens on this level. So this is the drop merging into the ocean. Now friends, I'm sure because a lot of the audience over here is equally interested in the chakras as well. So the energetic expression. Now Ketu's position in the chart also tells about that. See, it cannot be said only with the placement of Ketu, but I'm sure that it will give a major information regarding that in which level, the level of your consciousness is right now, to which chakra it is right now residing or attached with. So and obviously friends, afterwards, because you are born with that placement, with that level of prarabdha, like out of the account of your sanchit karma, that is what born with to endure in this life. Now with your kriyaman karma, with your free will, with your decision making, in which specific area of life you might be struggling or developing or evolving. That is what we get to know from the Ketu's placement and connecting it, aligning it with the chakra. So for example, when we talk about the crown chakra, Sahasrar, so Ketu's placement generally, in a purest sense, in the 9th house, in the 12th house, in the Pisces, this could be in the Revati Nakshatra, in the Uttar Bhadrapada Nakshatra, is a good placement, which tells about that you have the highest potential of mystical intuition and the Samadhi tendencies. Now, if you have to connect Ketu's placement with the third eye, with the Ajna Chakra, so generally we say that Ketu's placement in the 8th house, in the Scorpio zodiac sign, in the Anuradha Nakshatra, Jyeshtha Nakshatra, because it is responsible for the occult gifts, the psychic vision, astral memory, which you need for the prophecy, for the predictions. So this could be responsible for that, because the one who has reached the crown chakra, Sahasrar, he is not interested in any fame, any help to others, because he is already aligned and submerged with the universe, with the cosmos. But if you are aligned with the Ajna chakra, you are still in the game of helping people, getting those visions and guiding the world, guiding the humanity through your psychic vision, astral memory and the occult gift. Now, connecting Ketu with the heart chakra, the Anahata chakra. So Ketu's placement in the 4th house, in the Cancer sign, in the Shravana Nakshatra, which is responsible for the emotional detachment, the like mother karma healing, tend to remain very strong. Now, Ketu's connection with the solar plexus, with the Manipura chakra. So Ketu's placement in the Leo zodiac sign, in the 5th house, in the Purva Falguni, is responsible for the ego dissolution, like identity reconstruction. Ketu works on this domain. How can you connect Ketu with the sacral chakra, the Swadhisthana? So Ketu's placement in the 7th house, individually in the Libra, in the Swati, is responsible for the sexual karma, relational attachment or detachment. So whatever I am saying over here, your energies might be like reverberating around it. So when I say sexual karma, either there could be, because Ketu is a planet of extreme, either there is going to be a headless, single-minded obsession towards it, or this could be complete complete disinterest towards it. So Ketu is always extreme. And the last is the root chakra, the Mooladhara chakra. So Ketu's placement in the 1st house, Ketu individual in the Aries, in the Moola Nakshatra is responsible for that, like identity dissolution and the root karma burning. So friends, we know that, see, if you have to connect Ketu and the relationship, like the soul contract, so we know this thing that Ketu reveals the karmic partners returning back to your life, unfinished love stories from the past lives, soul recognition, sudden meetings, sudden exit, abandonment wounds, people who are not able to recover from the breakups, or they lost a partner, and some people just, it's not like that, the young people end up doing crazy things when they have the breakup and their heart breaks. Sometimes those who have been in 20 years of marriage, 30 years of the marriage, they are so attached. I have heard that news so many times that the wife had a heart attack and the husband was not able to cope up with that pain, and he also died with the heart attack in next few days. It happens a lot. So abandonment wounds, freedom versus attachment themes, and vows from the previous incarnations. So Ketu does not fail relationship. Ketu completes the relationship. The concern is that it happens on a very astral realm. And Ketu, if you have to connect it with the subconscious, dreams and the past life memory, so we know that Ketu opens the portal. The portal of the Ketu only opens in the dream, in the meditation. Like even in the morning when I was like attending this meditation retreat, the only thing which the teacher was instructing us, imagine now you're floating, you have merged with the sky, you are in the space. So yes, the Ketu portal only open in the dreams, in the meditation, in the silence, in the crisis, solitude, heartbreak, endings. Because, and I guess that is the only reason why these many saints, they prefer, like Rishi, I'm taking into consideration the Hindu and the Sanatan Dharma example. Why they used to prefer to go to the Himalayas and the mountains in isolation? Because they know that even if they will do some good or bad, it is again gaining a karma. And that's what they don't want. They want to be out of this transactional business of karma, of favors. So that's the reason they used to depart to the mountains, so that they don't have to deal with anyone. So yes, so all these are the areas when Ketu's portal opens, and this is where the causal body remembers. So, friends, ultimately, finally, you know that the final teaching of the Ketu is all about Ketu wants to free you from the illusion. It is the Ketu ends the cycle you have already mastered in the past life. It returns the past life skill, especially when Ketu is transiting from the fifth house. And many people who are born with the, like, Gand Mool Nakshatra, and people who are born with the Kal Sarp Yoga. So never ever underestimate these kind of combinations. Sometimes what happens is that life to a certain point keeps on holding up things for them. And when life releases, it's like the mega massive success comes. So that is the reason some of the biggest healers in the first half of the life, they have had their own level of struggle. And see, you have to understand what comes from the Rahu in Ketu, because once it starts coming in, the blessing and the benevolence and the prosperity starts coming in, that is the time when all the material attachment and the tangible things hardly matters to these people, because Rahu and Ketu have got more to do with the collective consciousness. So then proving someone or fame or little bit of the wealth or the land, it hardly matters for them, because now they are working for the higher cause. So yes, now friends, after this, let's look at some of the supernatural gifts in a chart. Now we will try to connect whatever we have discussed, a little bit spiritual element of the Ketu. Now we will try to connect it with the Jyotish. Now we will talk purely on the Jyotish terms. So we know this thing that, friends, in Jyotish, first of all, to begin with, Vedic astrology never calls psychic gift as supernatural. It calls them siddhis, abilities arising from the past life tapas, spiritual merit, yogic austerities, karmic residue, the divine influence. So Ketu is the planet that rules the siddhi, riddhi, gyan, darshan, past life memory. So Prashar Hora Shastra, it also says that Ketu grants the jnana, higher knowledge, moksha, dhyan, and divine wisdom. So this is a direct scriptural basis for the clairvoyance, intuitive prophecy, dream revelation, mystical insight. Gemini Sutra also states that Ketu makes the mind inward, subtle, and capable of perceiving hidden realms. This is exactly the consciousness seen in the Nostradamus and the Baba Vanga. And Garud Puran and the Devi Bhagavatam, both texts mention that Ketu carries the memory of all the past birth. Supernatural vision occurs when past life spiritual abilities resurface. And the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, siddhis arise from the tapas, samadhi, samskaras, Ishwar Prasad, divine grace, and Ketu directly rules all these entities. The tapas, samskaras, moksha karma. So Ketu is actual the siddhi gateway. So now friends, now when we talk about the spiritual basis, like why does Ketu give supernatural gift to someone? Or why not to everyone? So that means because Ketu is the causal body, the Karan Sharir. Because in the Karan Sharir, this is where the past life talents, spiritual accomplishment, psychic memories, and the karmic impressions are stored. So when Ketu is activated, the causal body leaks into the physical. And that is how someone like Ramanujam received mathematical formula in dreams, a classical function of Ketu and the 12th house. So okay friends, now diving deep into the core topic of today's discussion. What Ketu needs to awaken supernatural gifts? Like what could be the alignments for that? So to begin with, 3 houses can open the hidden worlds. Ketu in the 8th, occult prophecy and the hidden side comes from here. Ketu in the 12th house, like the dream prophecy and the astral vision happens from here. And Ketu in the 4th, spiritual memory from the past incarnations. Siddhis awaken from the emotional purification. So these 3 are the moksha houses. That's very obvious. Now, second combination could be Ketu and the moon. We know this thing that moon represents our mind and Ketu represents the past life vision. So together, mind sees beyond physical form. And scripture says that moon afflicted by Ketu makes one live between 2 worlds. So the same thing which I use for the Aquarius people, that their one leg is in the material real world and one in the astral world, because one sign ruled by Saturn in the Aquarius case is in the 1st and another is in the 12th. Same is the case over here, people who have moon Ketu conjunction, because these are the peoples like who can get the prophetic dreams, vision of the future calamities, and the psychic empathy. Ketu plus Jupiter, Gaj Kesari Yoga. Jupiter is the divine wisdom. Ketu is the transcendental insight. So Ketu and the Guru combination can give intuitive philosophy, sacred mathematics knowledge, cosmic pattern recognition, spiritual downloads. Classical texts say that Ketu with Guru gives Jnana Siddhi. Ketu in the Siddhi Nakshatra. I always say, see, you need to have knowledge of the nakshatra, but in totality, in combination with other limbs of the Panchang as well. So, but yes, it makes me very happy that the way I see a lot of the fascination and the love for the nakshatra, the limb of one of the limb of the Panchang. So, which all nakshatras can be seen as, if Ketu is over there, that this could be a Siddhi combination. Like Ketu could be seen as being placed in the Siddhi nakshatra. So, my best take on that is, friends, Mula. Ketu in the Mula in its own nakshatra. So past life occultist or the tantric, the person could be a healer. Especially I have seen some of the shamans with this placement. Ketu in the Ashlesha. See, all the Gand Moon nakshatras are coming. So that's what I am telling you, that what could be a suffering in the material world could be a blessing in the spiritual realm. So Ketu in the Ashlesha, serpent energy, hypnotic intuition. Ketu in the Jeshtha, superior psychic perception. Ketu in the Anuradha, deep devotion unlocking Siddhi. Ketu in the Uttar Bhadrapada, awakened Kundalini. Ketu in the Revati, final birth soul, dream vision. Ketu in the Pur Bhadrapada, prophetic fire and the sacrifice. Ketu in the Shravan Nakshatra, like psychic hearing, they can hear things, they can hear the voices and the whisper. Ketu in the Dhanishtha, astral rhythm, timeline intuition. So nearly every mystic has Ketu or moon in these nakshatras. It has been seen in the research. Now friends, Ketu's placement in the fire signs like Aries, Leo, Sagittarius has also been praised. Like for example, Ketu in the Sagittarius, most classical prophets had this. So it tells about direct truth revelation, spiritual prophecies, moral foresight. Ketu in the Leo can actually give you that visionary leadership, intuitive authority, prophetic dreams. Ketu in the Aries can give you that instinctive danger sense and second sight. See, the way we say this thing, that, and also lastly friends, how can I forget the two most important, Ketu and the Saturn combination. See, Ketu Saturn combination has been given, like, in many of the classics, cursed yoga, Shrapit yoga, and that is the only reason a lot of the times I don't use the literal translation of those shlokas, because the language used in these classics is very harsh, and I don't want to scare the audience, because unless and until you do not have a comprehensive knowledge, if you have a comprehensive knowledge, you can understand the gist or the essence of it. But I cannot just make a standalone video with saying that those who have Ketu Saturn, they are cursed. So I don't want to, unnecessarily traumatize people. So, but again, when we talk about the spiritual significance of it, so in scriptures, Ketu plus Shani is equal to tapas, means siddhi. So this combination produces psychic endurance, prophetic warnings, karmic vision, psychic pain, like spiritual wisdom. So Nostradamus had a heavy Saturn Ketu karmic pattern. Now see the power of it. And friends, most important is the Ketu and the 5th house combination. Because 5th house is, see, and again friends, we talk about that all the trine houses are very important, like 1st house, 5th house, 9th house. But always the mid of any of those houses act as a balancing factor. 5th house, if is going to be strengthened, it has the power to compensate the weakness of the 1st house, and it can also compensate the weakness of the 9th house as well. Because your chit, your buddhi, your pur punya, your Isht Upasana, your Mantra Shakti can balance it out. So Ketu and the 5th house combination is one of the best combination. We say this is the combination of the Mantra Siddhi. So 5th house is the past life merit, Ketu here, past life Mantra Siddhi. So these people have the power, they can predict, they can decode the symbols, they can see pattern in the randomness. Like, people who have the capacity to see the angel numbers and see those divine messages and all. So this is the combination of intuitive genius and spiritual intelligence. So friends, these were some of the combination. At the end, all what I can say is that even the scriptural conclusion says that Ketu is the Rishi Karaka, the planet that contains the memory of the sages, the monks, and the mystics from the past lives. So, Nadi texts say where Ketu sits, there the soul remembers. Puranas say Ketu grants moksha by removing illusion. Jaimini says Ketu gives the eye that sees the unseen. So, thus, the supernatural gifts attributed to mystics are not fantasy, they are the return of the past life siddhis. So, thanks a lot, friends, for watching. And before I will let you go, a quick announcement. I will be conducting a 2 day, like 3 hours each day, almost 6 hours workshop on the same concept. And the main objective is to cater to those people who are already little bit familiar with the nakshatras and with all the Vedic astrology terminologies, and we will have our discussion more on the Ketu. So yeah, you will be provided with few slides, and the perk of this workshop is that we will discuss chart as well in the session, and your Ketu's placement, what does it tell about, how can we figure out the esoteric mystical side of it. So that is what I will try to ensure to make it a very informational and interactive kind of session for everyone. So okay, friends, this is something which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs. Once again, thanks a lot for watching this video, and for further more updates and notification on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on my Instagram account. Dhanyawad.